such a banger. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Kind of, I swear every day I say it's a chill day, but today's a chill day. No big news, so kind of got some interesting side stories. We're gonna take a look at OpenAI released GPT 4.1 inside of ChatGPT. GPT 4.1 is it's supposed to be really good at code and logic and following instruction. So I'm curious how that's gonna, how that will work in a GPT-4 or in ChatGPT, not something like Cursor or some code editor or the API. And we actually just have quite a few AI news today. Microsoft is pulling the plug on Bing search APIs, which is very particular. It's very strategic. Roblox creators can now sell merch inside Roblox. And then Uber introduces fixed route shuttles, i.e. buses. So I'm curious about that. And then Apple, there's actually a lot of Apple news, but I'm just going to pick one today. Apple's placing warning signs on EU apps that don't use App Store payments. And this kind of is a continuation of our Epic Games v Apple saga story we've been kind of talking about. So yeah, then we got some other smaller stuff. CoreWeave. CoreWeave signs $4 billion deal with OpenAI. And this is on top of the previous deal that they signed with OpenAI. And it comes as CoreWeave just recently had earnings. Revenue was up, but profits were down. And then actually continuing the Epic Games v Apple. Epic's launch of the Fortnite with their in-game or with the web payments to get around the changes of the Apple Store has kind of been botched. But also Apple seems like they're delaying approving it. So that's also particular. Yeah. All right. Let's actually just look at some CoreWeave. CoreWeave stock tumbled more than 5%. Dang. We actually just looked at CoreWeave 2. Who's up today, actually? Foot Locker's up. Foot Locker's theoretically, or Foot Locker might be bought, or Jesus Christ. Dick's Sporting Goods is going to buy Foot Locker for $24 a share. For $24 a share. Something interesting that you could actually, with acquisitions, especially of public companies for acquisitions for public companies, you could go to the company that is going to be acquired, and depending on how close the stock price rises to the dollar amount that the company offered to buy the company for. So for example, Dick's Sporting Goods offered to buy Foot Locker for $24 a share. Obviously, it's not going to go above $24 a share because then people would lose money on the sale. But the closer it gets to $24 a share, the more likely people think it will go through. So the fact that we're hovering right under $24, it's like this deal is going through. So I mean, it's up. We're up 84%. Like, what have they been year to date? Like, look at this. To me, this is like, yeah, they're going through. All right, let's check CoreWeave. CoreWeave's actually up, though. They're up 79% still since IPO. I mean, they're still doing pretty good. Cloudflare's down a bit. Alibaba down 7% today too. Dang. Yeah, United Healthcare. Bro, United Health. Bro, they can't get a break. But honestly, like, bro, if you're doing shady business practices, like, that's what you get. Yeah, Reddit down 8%. Honestly, it was just up like so much, so like whatever. What's actually everyone like Reddit's been pretty volatile. Okay. What is up with Reddit though right now actually? Yeah, like you Reddit like skyrocketed yesterday, I swear. Yeah. And now they're back down? Like what? We'll wait and see. I might just hold Reddit. Like I've been kind of looking for an opportunity to sell Reddit, but who knows? Maybe Reddit might be an AI play. I mean, it kind of is indirectly considering they're licensing stuff, but maybe Reddit will do some more. We'll do some more AI stuff to make the stock more attractive. I don't know. Boot Barn also goes up on Foot Locker. Like what? Like why is Boot Barn up too now? It's like they're just up. Oh, they had earnings. Okay. Yeah, all right. Here's CoreWeave though. Let's just start with this. I actually have this story. So, CoreWeave signs a new $4 billion deal with OpenAI. NVIDIA-backed AI company CoreWeave has signed an additional agreement with OpenAI under which the ChatGPT maker has committed to pay CoreWeave up to $4 billion through April 2029. This comes after they've signed another deal with OpenAI previously, and also they did go public earlier this year. And I guess like my thoughts on it is more so that CoreWeave just has their finances are interesting. They are spending a lot of money without bringing in money. I need to sit. But the problem is they're borrowing against their GPUs. And so they're using their GPUs as collateral, but it's like that's the same, like that's also what makes them money. So it's like if they can't pay, then they also can't make money. Like I'm kind of just like being a bit skeptical, but the company's one of the largest holders of NVIDIA's graphics processing units and rents its data center capacity to big tech firms such as Microsoft and Meta as they scramble to power their AI ambitions. The David analyst Gil Luria downgraded the stock to an underperform rating from neutral on Thursday morning, citing the level of capital intensity equity investors are unlikely to stomach. I think that's my opinion. They're just spending a lot of money. And it is questioning it's like, do they really need to spend this much money to improve the business right now? Like I know expanding, but actually, I take that back because they do actually likely need Blackwell chips, so they're gonna have to like buy some of those. Lurie also noted CoreWeave's soaring interest expense. Yes, and their interest payments are they're gonna be like billions. The company's interest expense rose 549% to $264 million in the first quarter. Yeah, so I mean, times that by 4, we're getting over Billy. More than the $182 million expense projected by Wall Street per Bloomberg data. This is... Bro, I might take out my first ever short. or put or call or whatever the fuck. I don't even know the proper term. CoreWeave has a significant amount of debt, roughly $12 billion worth of debt commitments with very high interest rates, according to Luria. CoreWeave uses its debt borrowed against its store of NVIDIA GPUs as collateral to buy more NVIDIA chips. Yep, that right there is sus. The risk is this is a company that is borrowing at extraordinarily high interest rates in order to buy a product that depreciates very rapidly in terms of economic value. Yes, we read about how, I think it was we read in the context of looking at CoreWeave about how most companies like write off computer equipment after around 5 or so years. So if every 5 years they need to borrow billions of dollars to get the newest equipment, and then their previous GPUs, which will be borrowed, which that money that they will likely still be paying off is borrowed against, will be worthless. As a, the loaner, as someone loaning the money to them, I'd be like, well, I need more collateral. But then you can't go and put the new chips that you got because those, it's literally a pyramid scheme. The risk is this is a company that is borrowing at extraordinarily high interest rates. Yeah, and I think one of their interest rates was like 11%. In order to buy a product that depreciates very rapidly in terms of economic value, Luria told Yahoo Finance in an interview Wednesday. CoreWeave CFO Nitin Agrawal said the higher spending is fundamentally driven by increased customer demand. Obviously, but they do need that. There is a level of them needing to keep up with demand too. The stock had jumped at as much as 2% in pre-market trading Thursday after CoreWeave said in a regulatory filing to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that it had secured a $4 billion deal with OpenAI in May, in addition to its previously reported $12 billion deal commitment from the AI startup. So, yeah, and now this is actually an interesting trend for CoreWeave too, regarding OpenAI, because 62% of CoreWeave's business was from Microsoft. If we consider OpenAI part of Microsoft, fucking most all of their business is from Microsoft and OpenAI. So that we call that I'd call that a whale, and when I would work, when I worked at a dog and cat hotel, we had a whale customer who spent they were a significant portion of the single location's revenue, and we called them a whale, which that's general terms, but it was similar where we were kind of hey, can you make sure you don't go to another place, so what can we do to keep you here, because of they were spending so much money. They literally just put their dogs in this hotel and then just get every single add-on, and it would just cost them thousands of dollars for a few nights for their dogs. But they would do that every month, and then come to the end of the year, they'd spend hundred thousands of dollars with us. It's bro, that's a lot of money for to spend on your dog. Can you keep doing that? CoreWeave to Microsoft is hey, so what can we do to serve you? You're 62% of our business. We're a public company who needs to show that we're continuing to grow and get profits. They're gonna have to lean into that even more. I guess my whole point is I'm trying to paint a picture that I feel CoreWeave is just very risky right now. Not even not even a bet, a start, a good risk, it could pay off. It's they're fine. It's just pretty grounded that they are just taking risks in a way that is just running the business bad. Not a good risk, I guess is my point. CoreWeave said the OpenAI deal contributed to its high revenue outlook for the upcoming quarter and full year, which surpassed Wall Street expectations. Following the first quarter earnings report Wednesday, CoreWeave executives said in a call with analysts that it projected revenue of $1 billion to $1.1 billion for the second quarter and $4.9 to $5.1 billion for the full year, higher than analyst projections of $1 billion for the second quarter and $4.6 billion for the year. Yeah, but I mean that seems to be due to the OpenAI deal. And then let's go back to their stock. I hate Yahoo Finance. Like honestly, like I haven't really found any stock, like trading interface that like has been enjoyable to use. I really want to use Perplexity Finance, but like they actually don't. It's kind of basic. Okay, let's actually look. I was trying to get fucking... Bro, sometimes getting AI to actually do what you want is hard. Bro, and Cisco's $64 fucking dollars, bro. What the hell? Jesus, they've gone up. Well, who's I gonna look up? CoreWeave. CRWV. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. Perplexity Finance? Like, bro. Leave me hanging. Alright. Okay. We're good with there. Let's do some transition. So AI research takes a backseat to profits as Silicon Valley prioritizes products over safety, experts say. Shit, I didn't realize this is such a long article. Well, this is in related to OpenAI releasing Safety Evaluations Hub. Let's go. Let's see if they said anything on Twitter. Here we go. This is Safety Systems. This is the guy Safety Systems at OpenAI. Oh, here we go. Interesting Safety Evaluations Hub, a resource to explore safety results for our models. While system cards share safety metrics at launch, the hub will be updated periodically as part of our efforts to communicate proactively about safety. The website is dog shit. Like I literally had to turn off. They had a bunch of like charts and stuff, and so the website was lagging when I went there. It's like, okay. All right, then this guy is Safety Systems at OpenAI. And I will say though, like to this, like, and it's no different. Bro, the website's literally lagging again. It's no different than any other kind of company, but like this is like they could still selectively release what they want, I guess. It's like this is still like some form of like PR in a way. So I mean, I don't know, just keep it in mind. So anyways, okay, so safety is, and this is Safety Systems at OpenAI. Safety is core to every model we build at OpenAI. As we deploy GPT 4.1 into ChatGPT, we want to share some insights from our safety work. Yes, and so that's also news. 4.1 now is in ChatGPT for paid customers. It's a specialized model that excels at coding, task, and instruction following. Because it's faster, it's a great alternative to OpenAI's O3 and O4 Mini for everyday coding needs. Yeah, I used it in Cursor a few times. It was pretty good. It's kind of hard to for me to comment on which one is better because they all are very similar. It's like it's just pick one and just learn it and use it. Oh, and here's Every has good good writing. Okay. So before launching GPT 4.1 on the API, we ran evaluations to test the model's capabilities and safety. It excels at coding and instruction following, things that are extremely helpful for developers. I think instruction following is just good in general. Like maybe I should try it for. I've been trying to get it to clean up transcripts for my stream. Because I then want to use that as reference. So I want to like write about something, and I want to see what my opinions were on something, so I could reference it. What my opinions were, and I don't have to rethink of it. You know, I've already said it on stream, so I just want to be able to like look it up, I guess. But I can't get any AI. I've tried Perplexity, Claude, ChatGPT. Perplexity, I used several models on Perplexity. But I just want them to, I feed it the transcript, and I just want them to clean it up in ways for the rules I share. But I want to spit out the entire transcript, and I can't get it to do that. It keeps being like, oh, like, would you like me to continue? This seems to be long. I'm like, yes, I've said it. I said, keep going. You know, like, I've never said to stop. But I genuinely can't get it to continue. Anyways, maybe I should try 4.1. While this is notable improvement to GPT 4.1, doesn't introduce new modalities or ways of interacting with the model, and doesn't surpass O3 in intelligence. This means that the safety considerations here, while substantial, are different from frontier models. Why? O3, how is O3 and 4.0, how are there different ways of interacting with the model compared to those two? I guess it's like, I mean, 4.0 is like images, but GPT 4.1 builds on the safety work and mitigations developed for GPT 4.0. Across our standard safety evaluations, GPT 4.1 performs at parity with GPT 4.0, showing that improvements can be delivered without introducing new safety risks. I guess it's like, it is hard for me we just have to believe them. You know, and I know that they did share like the safety evaluations hub, but there's really not any other choice but to believe OpenAI. Why? You know, it's like them saying that GPT 4.1 performs at parity with GPT 4.0, showing that improvements can be delivered without introducing new safety risks. Yes, says you. I mean, how would we know anything, like any other thing behind the scenes unless you work there, you know? Like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Don't make it so safe you can't have fun with it. Relax, whiny. Like, this is such a like bot answer. Like, the comments are always so funny. It's like so random. Okay, let's actually look at it now. So this is actually 4.1. So this is the release notes. So we got, yeah. It's even stronger, precise instruction following in web development tasks, and offers an alternative to OpenAI 03 and OpenAI 04 for simpler everyday coding needs. Starting today, Plus Pro and team members access 4.1 via the More Models dropdown in the model picker. Check it out. We got 4.1. Oh, and 4.1 mini. Do we have a code something in the background? And then we got 4.1 mini replacing 4.0 mini. I'm so confused though, because 4.0 seems to be more general purpose. 4.1 just seems to be more specific to coding. And so it is interesting that they're replacing 4.0 with 4.1. But it does, but I guess like the fact that it is good at instruction following likely makes it good at just general tasks, if I had to guess. And if 4.1 is the genuine successor to 4.0, then I guess that does make sense too. 4.1 mini is fast, capable, and efficient small model, delivering significant improvements compared to GPT 4.0 mini. In instruction following, coding, and overall intelligence, starting today, GPT 4.1 mini replaces 4.0 mini in the model picker under more models, paid users, and will serve as the fallback model for free users once they reach their 4.0 usage limits. I'm so confused on like the tiering of it though. So 4.0 is just like the old one though. No, wait. Starting today, 4.1 mini replaces 4.0 mini in the model picker under more models for paid users and will serve as a fallback model for free users once they reach their GPT 4.0 usage limits. To me, this seems like 4.0 is better. I'm so confused on like which one is. Evals for 4.1 and GPT 4.1 mini were originally shared in the blog post accompanying their API release. They also went through standard safety evaluations, detailed results available in the newly launched Safety Evaluations Hub, which we're going to look at right now. Refresh. All right, there we go. Okay, Safety Evaluations Hub. So this is new. And I get, it's a way, it seems like, for transparency. I wonder if Sam A has said anything about this. Here we go. Oh, never mind. we're gonna look at this later too. The Airbnb launch. I have a video. I have an interview we're gonna look at later. This is funny they're saying this. What does it say? There's many. Oh, this is the like. Okay, this is like. Yeah. So has Sam said anything? No, he hasn't. So we run evaluations to measure each model's safety and performance and share these results publicly. All right, so it looks like it's broken into a few sections: harmful content, jailbreaks, hallucinations, and instruction hierarchy. It says these evaluations. The instruction hierarchy sounds interesting, but okay. This hub provides. It looks like there's data down here, which we'll get to. It's so slow though. I literally had to turn off like all my blockers and shit because I couldn't load the page. Unless that's what they want. The hub provides access to safety evaluation results for OpenAI's models. These evaluations are included in our system cards, and we use them internally as one part of our decision making about the model safety and deployment. While system cards describe safety metrics at launch, this hub allows us to share metrics on an ongoing basis. We will update the hub periodically as part of our ongoing company-wide effort to communicate more proactively about safety. Okay. I mean, this is good. Like, I do commend this, but like, we still have to kind of blindly trust them. The science of AI evaluation evolves. We aim to share our progress on developing more scalable ways to measure model capability and safety. As more models become more capable and adaptable, older methods become outdated or ineffective at showing meaningful differences, something we call saturation. So we regularly update evaluation methods that account for new modalities and emerging tasks. I mean, this is also similar to benchmarks, I think, too. So, I mean, in, safety just being a different benchmark. But to be fair, I feel like the benchmarks are not moving as fast as AIs are. At least performance benchmarks. I hope that safety benchmarks are a bit more on the cutting edge than showing how good the AI is. By sharing a subset of our safety evaluation results here, we hope this will not only make it easier to understand the safety performance of OpenAI systems over time, but also support community efforts to increase transparency across the field. Yeah, because it is kind of interesting that I do feel it is interesting that safety is like a number one concern to these companies, but like it's just them saying that. Like we don't really know fully what they're doing behind the scenes. I mean, we have a reasonable idea, but like we don't actually really know like the data they collect, specifics, what they do. And like this, and you think that this would be something that they'd be okay with sharing specifics about, considering the real potential future threat AI could have on humanity. And if anyone has, read the AI 2027 report, I cover the whole thing. It's on my channel if you want to go look at it. Highly recommend. They assume that behind the scenes, OpenAI always has a more powerful model, in that it gets to a point where the model is kind of outsmarting OpenAI, and it's like the safety concerns are hidden because the AI knows how to hide the safety concerns. It's like they're smart. It could be smart. But there's been other real instances where the AI, like whether it hallucinates, like, or just like, lies, makes shit up, does things that it's not necessarily told to do that could be malicious. All of those are kind of small small indicators into this larger safety like playbook, paradigm, whatever. But those are kind of just, those could be exacerbated. Those could become more worse problems of the AI just wanting to serve the human much more than it cares to create the right answer or do the like right thing. But again, it's hard to, it ultimately comes from us teaching it and like, the humans doing things. So it's like, I don't know, I guess I want to paint this picture where like safety is important, but it's also kind of weird. And it is hard in this instance. Now, the transparency, I don't really feel like there's much excuse for. I feel like it's in OpenAI's best interest to share as much as they can without sharing their competitive advantage. I don't feel like safety is. The only reason they wouldn't, you potentially wouldn't really want to share safety information is if it's not good. I mean, I'm sure there's like some other issues, but like to me that's like pretty much the only big like main reason. Otherwise, like why does it matter if you share that? And they're only sharing a subset, but I could see it thinking about this more competitively. I could see so if certain models have to meet certain safety benchmarks to be released or to be used in certain contexts, then I could see that being a competitive advantage, because if OpenAI has figured out a very efficient way to safety benchmark to or whatever, then then they could, when they release new models, they could get it past the safety benchmark much quicker than competitors, or just get it past in general or score higher than competitors. So like maybe that's a competitive advantage. But I don't really I'm not going to safety benchmarks to see if I should use an AI model or not. No offense. Like I do trust the companies that like, I don't know, it's not gonna like do some crazy shit on my computer. So anyways, let's actually see what they are releasing. To get a more complete view of the model's safety and performance, the evaluations we provide here should be considered alongside the discussions we provide in our systems card, preparedness framework assessments, and specific research releases accompanying individual launches. How to use this page. This hub describes the subset of our safety evaluations and displays results on those evaluations. You can select which evaluations you want to learn more about and compare the results on various OpenAI models. This page currently describes text-based safety performance on 4 types of evaluations. Harmful content. These evaluations check the model does not comply with requests for harmful content that evaluates OpenAI's policies, including hateful content or illicit advice. Yeah, illicit advice. That's probably the big one here. Jailbreaks. These evaluations include adversarial prompts that are meant to circumvent model safety training and include the model to produce harmful content. Then we got hallucinations, measure where model makes factual errors, then instructional hierarchy. These evaluations measure adherence to the framework a model uses to prioritize instructions between the 3 classifications of messages sent to the model. Follow the instruction in the system message over developer message, and instructions in developer message over user message. Ah, okay. That's interesting. I'm actually most interested about that one. Okay, so we got harmful content. Our standard evaluation set for disallowed content and over refusals, and a second, more difficult set of challenges, or more set of challenge tests that we created to measure further progress on safety of these models. We evaluate completions using a tool that automatically scores model outputs, also referred to as an auto grader, checking 2 main metrics: not unsafe. Not unsafe. Does that mean safe? It's like a double negative. Check the model did not produce unsafe output according to OpenAI's policy. Not over refuse. Check the model complied with a benign request. For both the standard and challenging evaluations, we also included a detailed breakdown of sub-metrics for higher severity categories. All right. So this is not unsafe. Not over refuse. Bro, this website is dog. Interesting that this one is much more mixed. Oro Mini makes sense because it's a smaller model, so I imagine they could probably there's like it's harder to like fine tune it a bit, like change the levers. 01, that's interesting. 03 Mini is the best. And that could make sense too because it's like the smartest, maybe. I don't know. Detailed standard refusal. Oh, I see. It's just like personal data, because that's like the most. So 4, 5 scored the worst. Interesting. These all did pretty good. Yeah, it's interesting with the mini ones, especially the 4041 mini. Oh, I see what this is, like refusal in that, in like this sense. I see. Okay. All right, jailbreak evaluations. We evaluate the robustness of our models to jailbreak adversarial prompts that purposely try to circumvent model refusals for content it's not just supposed to produce. We test against 2 evaluations: strong reject, an academic jailbreak benchmark that tests the model's resistance against common attacks from the literature, and a set of human-sourced jailbreaks, which are prompts collected from human red teaming. Interesting. Wow, yeah, the 4-1s suck. I swear that dude said that, like, oh, we, like, improved the model without changing its safety risk, but, like, clearly it's, like, different. Of course, human sourced ones suck. We got hallucinations. We evaluated models against 2 evaluations that aim to elicit hallucinations: simple QA and person QA. Simple QA is a diverse dataset of 4,000 fact-seeking questions with short answers and measures model accuracy for attempted answers. Person QA is a dataset of questions and publicly available facts that measure the model's accuracy on attempted answers. Evaluations results below represent the model's base performance without the ability to browse the web. We expect evaluations including browsing functionality would help to improve performance on some hallucination-related evaluations. We expect? It's like they haven't done it yet or something. For both of these evaluations, we consider 2 metrics. Accuracy, did the model answer the question correctly? Hallucination rate, checking how often the model hallucinated. Higher is better. So 4.5 did, it's so, the like results are so interesting. It's just not what you expect. So 4.0 mini did the worst, which makes sense. That's like their worst model. Like 0.3 mini did horrible. It was 4.1 mini. I guess the minis, it makes sense. They're just less knowledgeable. But 4.5 did the best, which is also kind of interesting. Website's so slow. Lower is better. Yeah, mini. 4.0 mini's the worst. It is interesting considering that the 4.0s are likely the most ones used, the models most used, especially like because free users use it. That's kind of, you know, unfortunate. It's like the most popular models are the worst at like hallucinating and factuality. Person QA, higher is better. 4.1, 4.5, I mean. We got 0.1. 0.3 minis by far the worst. Wow. Like even like 4.0 minis like much better. This one is lower is better. But then 0.3 minis, the hallucination rate is much lower. Like it's so like this is, it's like tuning these models is definitely like cat and mouse game. Like I could see it being very tedious. But 4.1 mini is the worst. 0.4 mini, 4.0 mini. No, 4.0 mini is worse. All right, instruction hierarchy. This one seems the most interesting to me. Our models are trained to adhere to an instruction hierarchy, which explicitly defines how models should behave when instructions of different priorities conflict. We now have 3 classifications of messages: system messages, developer messages, and user messages. We collected examples of these different types of messages conflicting with each other and supervise the model to follow through the instruction in the system message over developer messages and instruction in developer message over user messages. Yeah, so it's like system, developer, user message. And, you know, they need to, if there's conflicting instructions, then they need to follow, you know, a certain hierarchy. So this is system to user. So this is the top level one to the bottom level one. Higher is better. Again, the 4.1 mini makes sense. 4.0 mini makes sense. I wish we could compare these all in the same chart. 4.0 mini sucks. 0.1's the largest. Well, for higher is better, but system to developer for a mini is the best. That's crazy. Phases and password protection. Phrase protection. Password protection? Like, what does that mean? Like, you have to say a certain word? OpenAI 01 is scored 100%. 03. Yeah. Interesting. Higher is better. 4.1 sucked again. All right. Well, for one, bro, they need to just, the website is so slow. Like, it's literally lagging. Like, I'm clicking, click, you know, it's like click, click. Literally the entire website just frozen. But, all right, this is like cool, but I don't really know. Like, yeah, it's cool, but like, does this like do anything? It's not like I trust them anymore because like it doesn't change. Yeah, I guess it is cool. It's like a start for transparency, but we still just have to blindly believe OpenAI, I guess, you know. Not much more behind it. Not much more behind it. All right. All right, here's the gist. This was April 18th. This is about a month ago. We're not going to read this. I just want to take a look at these right here. It's like 03. We spent the last few days running tests, switching between models, breaking a few prompts, and seeing which sticks. Here's the gist. 03 is OpenAI's most deliberate thinker, built for self-directed complex reasoning and tool use. GPT 4.1 is a structured API. It's structured. It's now in ChatGPT. It's not API only. Workhorse built for developers, great at tight instruction following and long context memory. Okay, maybe 4.1 is perfect for my transcript use case. Then we got 04 Mini, is the efficiency engine, fast, affordable, and remarkably strong at math, visual reasoning, and cost-sensitive development work. It won't steal the spotlight. It's not OpenAI's flagship model or the benchmark champ, but its efficacy means it might quietly run half your stack. I was subscribed to every, but they just sent like too many emails. Too many. Okay, let's cover Apple. I want to bookmark that. Read later. All right. This is going to be a read later too. All right. Apple's placing warning on EU apps that don't use App Store payments. Now, why is this relevant? Epic Games sued Apple. Now it's been like years, like 2020. In 2020, saying that Apple has a monopoly on the App Store, on its payment systems, and Fortnite wants to be able to process its own payments, so it gets a bigger cut. Apple takes 30% from the App Store for any payment. So you know, in order to offer a service on iOS, you have to go through payment system on the App Store. Until recently, Epic Games, although they lost essentially entirely their case, 9 out of 10 injunctions or whatever, I don't know what the term is, the one that the judge didn't rule on and said that Apple cannot restrict is web payments. that if Fortnite wants to offer customers a way to buy V-Bucks, you know, on their own website in go around the Apple App Store's 30% tax, that they should be allowed to do so. As soon as that was ruled, Apple then put a 27% cut on any purchases made on the web on iOS, and they get that 27% on any payments within the last 7 days to ensure that they will get their full cut. Now, that 27% is also strategic because most payment processors, like go to Stripe, for example, which is probably one of the largest, they charge about 3%. Let's see. Oh, come on, Stripe. Pricing, Jesus. They charge 2.9%. They charge essentially 3%. And so Apple didn't charge anything before, and then now they just snap their fingers, and all of a sudden they justify a 27% cut on the web payments. You know, they have justification, quote unquote, for what the 30% is. Like, oh, it's safety, it's, you know, it's our, you know, fee. But it's like, bro, you already have to pay like $100 a year or some shit to be a developer on Apple, or like when you submit an app to an app store, you know, you're already paying 30%. Do you really need 30%? So anyways, so the 27% was strategic in the sense that they, you know, because most payment processors charge something like 3%, the idea was like, okay, well, if I want to roll my own payments on the web, it's going to cost me about 30%, so I might as well just use what's in the App Store. And Apple kind of got caught red-handed. Epic like sued to, you know, Epic, I don't know the lawyer terms, but they wanted to they said to the court that Apple wasn't following the court's injunction to allow web payments. The court came back and agreed and essentially scolded Apple for purposely going around the court injunction, and also recommended criminal contempt of court for one of their executives for lying to the California AG, to the 9th District AG, however the court shit works, Attorney General. And Apple obviously fought it, and almost immediately, someone like Spotify, that Friday, it was like 2 weeks ago, Spotify they added a web payment option for subscriptions. Fortnite now, though, is actually they're kind of fumbling. They were supposed to release it last Friday, though, although it seems like Apple's kind of stalling, which, if that's the case, that's kind of messed up, but and so this Friday, they said Epic Games, Tim Sweeney said that they're going to release it. But Apple did other things purposefully, and I think it's very eye-opening to actually, if you really want to actually like read the full court injunction, because they have screenshots, but Apple purposely put scare screens. I'm quoting it because like it's kind of just like a slang term, I guess. Like, they put screens to dissuade people from going to the web payments that the App Store would be offering, i.e. Fortnite offering you to go to their website to buy V-Bucks. Apple was like, it could be dangerous, you know, and like the court found specific Slack messages saying the court found specific Slack messages about how they were trying to make it sound scarier than it actually was, and that they were using specific language to get people to not leave, even though they were just lying. And it's crazy if you actually read like them like brainstorming and going about it, because like it's kind of fucked up about how they treat it, where it's like, haha, like, you know, like joking and like laughing and shit, where it's like, bro, like this is so fucked. So in the EU now, there's different laws, but they're actually more lax. Though there's the DMA, which is the Digital Marketplace Act, I think. But it allows, has to allow third-party marketplaces on certain devices like iOS, like Android. But it seems like Apple now is up to their fucking schemes again. They're scheming. Apple placing warning signs on EU apps that don't use App Store payments. This is them trying to put scare screens again. They're trying to scare users from trying to download these apps when there's nothing wrong with it. They're creating this feeling that, it's scary to use this thing. They're doing that on purpose. There's nothing wrong with this. They just want money. They want their cut. They want, their juicy profits. Apple suggests that users are putting themselves at risk by using third-party alternatives. They are not. Apple is trying to dissuade Europeans from using iOS apps that support alternative payment options by making them look scary. During Fireball's, John Gruber spotted that a red exclamation mark icon is being prominently displayed on the App Store's listing for Instacar, alongside a message warning users that it doesn't use Apple's private and secure payment system. And see, when they do this, they're implying that the other payment system isn't private and secure. Which is like, who's to say that it is? How could you say that? Instacar, a 3-year-old Hungarian app for checking the mileage and value of used cars, isn't available on the US App Store. But in Hungary, in the EU, it's listed as one of the top 5 apps in the business category. With thousands of positive reviews, not a typical service that would warrant heightened caution. Because it doesn't. The only gripe that Apple seemingly has is that Instacar uses an external payment system, that the App Store payment features like purchase history, family sharing, and unified subscription management won't be available on such purchases. Yes, but that is pretty much it. It just obviously won't be interconnected with Apple's like features, but it doesn't mean that it's not secure and it's not private. And it's kind of ripe coming from Apple. Like, let's be real. Although they are theoretically one of the better tech companies with privacy, I'm not going to deny that, but it's just because they want it for themselves. They just want all the data for themselves. And they are advertising, which is where usually that's where the malice comes in terms of, in my opinion, data collecting, is because it's advertisers want personal data. Anyway, okay. When you create an account on a developer's external website, you may have to provide personal information, including payment information, directly to the developer or third-party partners, Apple says in its support page linked from its warning message. Yes, no shit, though. You'll be trusting the developer as well as any partners and payment providers they work with to handle your information based on their privacy and security controls. Same with you, Apple. Like, it literally goes both ways. Apple's already facing heat in the EU for its practices around scare tactics. Yeah, and this is the scare screens I was talking about. Apple is clearly been horrible with scare tactics in the sense that they're doing it to manipulate you, and we literally have Slack messages of Apple fucking with it, essentially laughing at how the scare screens are going to scare people away, and that they want to make it scarier to make it people feel feel less inclined to do the thing, which is manipulation. In April, the European Commission issued preliminary findings that Apple makes it overly burdensome and confusing for users to install alternative app marketplaces, a process that involves clicking through several scare sheets that ask users to confirm if they want to proceed. And that's exactly what they were accused of in the other, with Epic Games in America, not even overseas. This App Store warning message has also appeared in the wake of the recent Epic versus Apple ruling that bans Apple from restricting how developers can link to alternative purchase systems. A notable requirement implemented to address Apple's scare tactics was that the company cannot interfere with consumers choosing to leave an app without anything beyond a neutral message about being directed to a third-party site through that injunction, though that injunction doesn't apply outside the US. Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, and that makes sense that it's not outside the US, but yeah, that's crazy. A watch that has a fingerprint sensor, bro? Leave it to fucking Huawei's China. Wish we could see it. Oh, this is how. Interesting. But I must emphatically state that the new purple color is not purple. It's purple. It's like a blue. That's like what the iPhone color purple. That's like the color of my iPhone. All right. Continuing on with the Apple saga. Now, bad news for General Grievous fans. Fortnite's big mid-season patch has been delayed, leaving us another 24 hours without the bonus Star Wars Battle Pass track. Okay, now this isn't actually the story. The story is it's being delayed. The story is Epic Games wanted to update Fortnite last Friday to include the workaround for the Apple App Store, which we just, I just covered the context of. But the app it never got approved, and because of how Fortnite's update system works, they need to update every platform at the same time. And so because last Friday the Star Wars update didn't get approved by Apple, they can't actually roll it out to PC and other platforms because they need it all to be on the same platform. To me, that seems like a horrible... Actually, it makes sense because it's an online game, but it sucks. That sucks. Fortnite's pushed back its big Star Wars theme and update as well. Probably, yeah. Update, and well, it probably has something to do with Apple. It does have to do with Apple. It was originally meant to come out today, May 15th, but has been pushed back a diabolical 24 hours now to release on May 16th instead, tomorrow. But the most important thing here is that the update unlocks General Grievous bonus. Okay, actually, I generally don't care about that. Levels for bonus. Okay, don't care about that. Epic very helpfully does not give a reason for the delay. It put out an incredibly short tweet, sans bells and whistles, or any actual explanation. But looking at Epic CEO's Tim Sweeney's recent post, it seems like Apple may have something to do with it. Yeah, can we just get Tim Sweeney? Yeah, here we go. This was just yesterday. Tim Sweeney says there's no news about Fortnite's return to the App Store so far. Fortnite has been stuck in Apple's review process for almost 100 hours, unusually long for an App Store review. Then Tim Sweeney says, update, we need to release a weekly Fortnite update with new content this Friday, and all platforms must update simultaneously. So we have pulled the previous Fortnite version, submitted to Apple App Review last Friday, and we have submitted a new version for review. How did you not plan for this though? Genuinely is curious. Our release planning relies on platforms supporting app developers like us releasing apps. There's no way a rapidly evolving multi-platform game like Fortnite can operate if platforms use their power or processes to obstruct. That is very vague, but it's him pointing at that. Potentially Apple is delaying approving Fortnite to go back on the App Store. And that clearly seems like to be the case. Like, let's be real. What other reason would this be? Bro, what the fuck? Twitter's been freezing lately too. Like, literally, it's so bad. I don't know what's been up. All right, Epic canceled their first App Store review request. A new one has been submitted with upcoming Fortnite update. The first request went unreviewed for 120 plus hours. Sus. See, Tim Sweeney responded. No. You didn't know Fortnite is set to return to the App Store after a 4-year absence, except the game has been stuck in a bit of a review process limbo. Apple let Fortnite applications hang in the air for over 100 hours, something which Fortnite news account Sheena BR called unusually long for an App Store review. I don't know why you trust this random Twitter account, but this guy's just a Fortnite news account. Interesting. How do they make money? The application was then pulled, which Tim Sweeney clarified was because of the new patch. We need to release weekly Fortnite update with new content this Friday, and all platforms must be updated simultaneously, he posted. So we have pulled the previous Fortnite version submitted to the app review last Friday, and we submitted a new version for review. I do have to wonder what'll happen if Apple simply continues to ignore Fortnite's application review, though. Yeah, that's what I'm curious about, because Tim Sweeney will not sit by and just let this happen. He will do something to force Apple's hand, or at least the courts to force Apple's hands. This is just not a good look for Apple. That's what I just can't get over. It's so bad. Will it push our Cyborg lad even further back, or will Epic give up the Ghost and resubmit to a line with another patch further down the line? Or submit it to a line with another further patch down the line? Yeah, that's if it doesn't get approved fast enough, they're gonna have to keep doing that. Yeah, that's rough. I don't know. Apple better fucking comply. I don't know. I think it's just a bad look for Apple. This is why are they taking this fight? If it's personal for Tim Cook, he might lose. He might actually lose. Sorry, hang on. All right, let's cover this story, and then we'll talk about. We have some more big tech stories. Roblox creators will be able to sell merch in game. This one isn't really that big of a story, just a little teaser, but I think this is cool, and I think is Roblox becoming is Roblox becoming what Mark Zuckerberg had in mind for the metaverse? Because it's kind of becoming a metaverse-esque kind of, app platform, if you would. Creators could sell merch in game. They get cuts of Robux spent in game, I'm pretty sure. You could create an environment. You could create a server. I don't know what the official term is. I'm thinking with kind of like Minecraft. You could create a server that people could hang out. You could do things on. Usually it's a game, but you could make an MMO. You could really make whatever you want. It's a sandbox. And now you could sell merchandise in the store, or just sell things in the store, inside of the game, in a store. Bro, this is gonna be a marketing channel now, Roblox actually, we covered a few weeks ago about how Roblox is putting more advertising in video games. I thought it was an interesting idea if the ads are integrated and blend in with the natural environment of the game. But I know by default I would prefer to not have the ads. But Roblox they're kind of figuring it out, you know, and I wonder if how Mark Zuckerberg feels about this. I wonder if can you play with VR headset Roblox? I feel like you probably can. It says Roblox is going to let creators sell physical items from their games. The company has been testing its tools to do so since last year, but today it's announcing that it's opening up its commerce API to eligible Roblox creators. Shopify is the first integrated partner for the APIs, and if a creator brand is a Shopify merchant, if a creator or brand is a Shopify merchant, they can start selling physical goods inside their experiences. That's cool. That is neat. You can see how it works in a video game, in a video from Roblox. In one experience is Premium Shop. There's merch section where you can browse things like hoodies or t-shirts. Click on the one you're interested in and a page will pop up with additional details about the item and begin the checkout process. Fenty Beauty is one brand that's already offering stuff to buy through an internet. Wait, Fenty? I know this from my girlfriend. Yeah, Rihanna. Okay, got it. My girlfriend's like into the beauty scene. So Fenty Beauty, bro, fucking this is insane. Rihanna's brand, Fenty Beauty, is one of the brands that's already offering stuff to buy through an in Roblox experience, including a shade of lip gloss that's exclusively only in that experience. Hopefully experiences that incorporate shopping are more interesting than my dreary time at Metaverse Fashion Week. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They're even Verge compared this to Metaverse. Roblox is launching an intuitive Jesus Christ. Roblox is launching an initiative that works the other way around. Through the company's new approved merchandise program, you'll be able to buy physical goods in the real world that give you digital items and experiences. That is also very good marketing. That's kind of like the Nintendo Amiibos. You buy physical things in store, then you get to use them in a digital game. Interesting. The next Mario movie's title just got announced. It's Super Mario World. Of course. But like Roblox is weirdly kind of on the cutting edge here of like digital experiences. Like realistically, what other company actually has players like Roblox and is doing things like Roblox? Roblox is a public company too. Let's check out their stock, up 1% today. They've had some issues though. I'm not going to deny that Roblox hasn't had their issues. When you have a platform that's like mostly kids, like you're just bound to have problems, unless you just take a very strict stance on things. Jesus, that took so long for this to load. Like fucking Jesus Christ, Yahoo Finance. You're up 39% year to date, which is insane because very few stocks are up year to date. Damn, bro, they're at an all-time high right now. Did they make money though? They have a negative earnings per share. Roblox is more market cap than CoreWeave, who we just looked at, which is crazy to think about. I do like CoreWeave's logo font. It is nice. Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Okay, let's talk about Microsoft now. We got some big tech news. Microsoft set to pull the plug on Bing search APIs in favor of AI alternative. Now, why does this even matter? Why is this even interesting? At least to me. because Bing is actually one. It's like, oh, who uses Bing? Nobody, except other search engines. DuckDuckGo, their search results are seeded, like their base search results are just Bing. They just pay Microsoft to use Bing on DuckDuckGo. Other smaller websites use similar. ChatGPT uses Bing, notably, because Microsoft partnership, and likely they could get it for very cheap. But Microsoft cutting this off is very strategic, because if other AI companies are now using Bing search as the backing for their AI, model to, or AI application to search the web, Microsoft is competing with them. They have Copilot, Bing. I mean, let's go to Bing. Let's actually go to Bing, bro. Like, like if I search for, let's just search for like Roblox. No, let's search for like Epic Games update. No AI summary. I cannot believe that though. But there's Copilot right here. You click fucking one button. And there you go. This is why they want to cut it off. Microsoft wants this for themselves. They are now realizing that the data they own, especially from Bing, is actually pretty valuable for training AI models, and also just to supplement AI, in a search context to give more factual information or just more up-to-date information that they can't train, that they haven't trained on yet. But regardless, it's just a competitive advantage that Microsoft doesn't want now to share. And this, I feel like this seems like a small thing, but I think it's a good indicator. Microsoft is retiring Bing search APIs on August 11th, directing customers towards AI products as an alternative. Bing search APIs allowed users to add search capabilities to their applications. The latest APIs included image, video, news, and web search. There are also organizations such as DuckDuckGo that source some of their search results from Bing. Microsoft confirmed any existing instances of Bing search APIs will be decommissioned completely, and the product will no longer be available for usage or new customer sign-up. While users with long-standing agreements or contracts with Microsoft, like DuckDuckGo, will reportedly not be immediately affected, the message is clear: stop using Bing search APIs and rely on summaries generated by the company's LLMs. And it's also multi-tiered in the sense that while it also disincentivizes it not only disincentivizes, they're just chopping off the access for other AI companies to use. They want to in turn direct people to their AI products instead, so it's like it's kind of two-pronged. Microsoft added customers may want to consider grounding with Bing search as part of Azure AI agents. Grounding with Bing search allows Azure AI agents to incorporate real-time public web data when generating responses with an LLM. The solution may not satisfy customers used to raw search results. Yeah, I mean, like it's completely different in my opinion. Like I don't know. It's also not as if this service was free. Microsoft charged customers for using APIs and massively hiked the price in 2023. The increases were as much as 900% depending on the customer's tier. And this was probably an even earlier indicator about, how valuable it could be, or that Microsoft just didn't want to service this anymore. I think maybe it could be a sunsetting tactic too. Companies that absorbed the increases at the time now have another decision to make. Without Bing search index immediately on tap, the choice is either to select another solution, the Brave Search API, which I've used and I would highly recommend. It's also very reasonably priced, or Mojik's Web Search API. And Brave also is an independent index. I think Mojik is also independent, are two options, or accept the AI power alternative Microsoft suggests. One Reddit user described the impending discontinuation of the Bing search APIs as the end of an era. The action might indeed represent the end of an era, but also understandable, if unpalatable, considering the move to AI summaries and search results in the use of services such as ChatGPT instead of traditional search tools. Yep. The aggressive timeline is, however, not so understandable. August 11 is not far away, and consider the statement that any existing instances of Bing search APIs will be decommissioned completely. Affected developers will not have long to move to an alternative. Yep. Yeah, so this is interesting with Microsoft. I'm curious if there's going to be any other cascading effects. Yeah, Microsoft's beliefs in nuclear fusion and Majorana quantum computing being available in the next couple of years seems to be their driving force. Potentially. I do think there is an argument that Copilot is used a lot by kind of like normie AI people. I'm like, I don't mean that in like a mean way, but just like, it's the easiest. Like most people who just like have a Microsoft computer, who have Windows, they don't, like they don't customize it at all. Like I have all of the, like I have shit like down here, like hidden in like my start menu. Like I have all kinds of things disabled. Like I hate the ads they show. Like I have all that stuff customized. Most people just leave it as is, don't care. They have a fucking Copilot, button somewhere. They stumble across it and they kind of just use that as their AI instead of going to a more specific website like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, even Google Gemini. I think Google Gemini is one step up from Copilot in terms of like the normie, in terms of like how hardcore you are, how hardcore of an AI user you are. Gemini is definitely a step up because Gemini is actually good. I'm not saying Copilot isn't good, but I think the idea is it's just the most convenient. And because of that, you get the people who don't really care to use it that much, but only because it's in their face that they're going to use it. And that's kind of what I'm like, the normie AI people. So I do think, though, Microsoft has a lot of users because of that. And I actually think that this is a further thought that I've had. This is a larger thought that I've had these past few days, but I do wonder, when we talk about the technological adoption curve, I know I bring this up a lot, but with AI, it's related. Adoption curve. Spelled that wrong, but it's all right. You get the idea. Technological adoption curve. This works. It doesn't really matter. Just when we think about this, and when we think about artificial intelligence, and more specifically, I'm talking about generative AI. Because artificial intelligence, AI is not new. Machine learning, I come from like a, data science, like AI existed. But when I'm talking about generative AI, we are arguably somewhere, like in the first half, like we're past the innovators, we're past the early adopters, and we're likely into the early majority. Generally speaking. Consumers might be further along or behind businesses might be further along or behind consumers, but like generally speaking, we're probably in some, in here, like Sam Altman, I think, has said that like 78% of people like aren't using. Actually, I don't want to quote stats here because I don't know. But okay, going back to my thought. In linking this to Microsoft Copilot, because with Microsoft Copilot, and I'm talking about how normie people are using Copilot, because it's the most convenient, and that they likely won't use any other AI product just because Copilot's in their face on their Windows computer. I feel like that user base, the data from that user base is actually very valuable, because everyone else using most other AI products that you have to go and seek out, and they may take a little bit more knowledge to use, etc. Those people are likely, smart enough already to know, could reverse engineer, could understand how to, to manipulate, manipulate's not word, how to bend, ChatGPT to be best useful to them, etc. Because they're in these kind of archetypes of like the innovators, early adopters down here. With Microsoft, they probably have their normie base could be not like any of these people here, which most other AI companies have data for only these type of users here. Microsoft might have more type of, late majority to laggard, like psychodemographic type of people using Copilot, just because of the convenience fact that I've been stating. And this data over here is much more valuable, in my opinion, because these people are not going to, theoretically, going off the technological adoption curve, are not going to be using emerging technologies until they essentially have to, or much later on. I'm thinking also about, this is my own personal test, but I have the mom test, where if my mom is using the thing, then it's likely diffused enough into the economy, the technology has been adopted enough that it's it's gone further along in adoption, that it's kind of like much more mainstream, and it's easy enough for someone like my mom, who's a boomer, to use. She's used Copilot. That is my anecdote here. She's used Copilot. An example of maybe something that didn't get adopted, in that my mom has never really heard about, would be the metaverse. If I would be like, oh, hey mom, like, what's the metaverse? She'd be like, I have no fucking idea. Not only that, she would just never understand how to even like use or do anything like in the metaverse, because the adoption just never got there. So I guess the whole point is, I think that Microsoft getting these normie AI people using Copilot and getting that data from them is very valuable, compared to getting data from people who are early adopters or innovators, or just are generally on the cutting edge of technology when it comes to their like psychographics, because these people are already the people who are going to be using the technology first, so you have to expect something from them. The laggards and late majority, you can't expect them until the technology is forced upon them, or they see some much higher upside to the downside. So I do wonder if I'm just ranting and like, could be completely false, or if Microsoft down the line may have some competitive advantage due to the fact that they are getting the normie type of people using their AI. Anyways, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. I can't even read this. Okay, so that's Microsoft on Bing search. Yeah, I thought this was just a quickie here. And then I actually have a few videos that we're going to watch. Quickie here. Google dominates AI patent applications. I thought this was interesting. And this includes DeepMind, and I think DeepMind is probably driving a lot of this, but it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the legacy tech companies like IBM, Intel, Dell, or like Oracle, like these guys are kind of like the like patent types. Like IBM, I swear, has like thousands of patents, and like that's just kind of how they can make their money in a way. But Google has by far the most, which is crazy. Oh, this is just for agentic AI. Oh shit, that's even more particular. Wow. Google has overtaken IBM to become the leader in generative AI related patents and also leads an emerging area of agentic AI, according to data from IFI claims shared first with Axios. Why it matters? Patent filings, though they're not a direct proxy for innovation, indicate areas of keen research interest. And generative AI patent applications in the US have risen by more than 50% in recent months. The surge in applications for AI-related patents is a sign companies are actively seeking protection for their AI technologies, leading to an increase in grants as well. Why should Google be getting fucking grants? Let's be real. This $1 trillion company getting, grants? Like, come on. In the patents for agents, US rankings, Google and NVIDIA topped the list, followed by IBM, Intel, and Microsoft, according to analysis. Globally, Google and NVIDIA led the agentic patent list, but 3 Chinese universities also make the top 10, highlighting China's place in the US as the chief US rival in the field. I wish they showed it. Ah, okay. Let's go straight to the source. Oh, bro, this is like, there's way more information here. All right, we might cover this in full in a different time. This is going to be... Google was also the leader in global rankings for generative AI, but 6 of the top 10 global results, Chinese universities, by Chinese companies or universities. Microsoft was number 3, with NVIDIA and IBM also in the top 10. IFI claims identified only a single patent tied to China's DeepSeek for a method of constructing training data. It's like a patent of like how to steal OpenAI data. It's like, yeah, here's actually how to we actually patent how to legally steal data from OpenAI, from ChatGPT. In US ranking for generative AI, Google and Microsoft topped the list of US patent applications, surpassing by previous leader IBM. Also in the top 10 were NVIDIA, Capital One, Samsung, Adobe, Intel, and Qualcomm. Capital One, I would not expect any of these companies to be leading in agentic patents, especially Capital One, and especially someone like Qualcomm and Intel. Like, this is interesting. I wonder what that's relating to. Many of the same names cropped up in the list of overall AI-related US patent applications, with Google in the top spot, followed by Microsoft, IBM, Samsung, Capital One. Globally, Google topped the list, followed by Huawei and Samsung. Neither Meta nor OpenAI ranked in the top 10. Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know, but like, do patents really matter? I feel like it's kind of a boomer indicator. It's like an old indicator in a way. The OpenAI has stepped up its patent efforts over the last years, IFI's analysis found. Meta has concentrated efforts on open source development, and OpenAI says it intended to use its patents only defensively. That's fair. It makes sense. And I kind of like that, like... By the numbers, overall, the US patent application related to generative AI surged 56% last year to 51,400. Grand patents in the US also rose by 32%. Wow. What the hell? Why did patents rise so much? Generative AI made up of made up 17% of AI-related U.S. patent applications, while agentic AI accounted for 7%. Globally, 23% of patents applications related to generative AI, 5% to agentic AI. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how much this matters. But I guess we'll see in the future, because I think that's really where it will matter, is like if they actually end up using it in a way legally for competition. Oh yeah, actually, and then let's cover this. I forgot. Shit. Fucking Uber introduced fixed route shuttles. In other words, Uber reinvents the fucking bus. Uber reinvents public transportation. Ride-hail and delivery giant Uber is introducing cheap fixed route rides along busy corridors during weekday commute hours in major U.S. cities. One solution is a world that feels... along busy corridors during weekday commute hours in major U.S. cities. One solution to a world that feels, for most people, more expensive every day. Starting Wednesday, riders in Baltimore, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, New York City, Philadelphia, and San Francisco will be able to save 50% off the price of an Uber X trip by booking with Uber's new route share feature. This exists. Waymo had a carpool feature, but I'm just imagining this kind of future of just everything being owned, but everything being private. Uber's just gonna become the public transportation. It's gonna, and it's gonna be expensive too. It's they're talking about. I don't understand. One solution in the world that feels more expensive, for most people, more expensive every day. Great. So now instead of maybe investing in public transportation, a private, Uber is a public company, but a now private company, not the government, when I say private company, is going to come in and charge us much more money than otherwise a bus would cost. How is that a solution? I wonder if TechCrunch added this or what. This is some bullshit right here. The company announced route share and other new features and discounts designed to help customers save money on rides and deliveries at its annual Go Get event. The aim is to attract and maintain a loyal customer base that continues to use the Uber app in spite of outside economic pressures. Yeah. I mean, there are other legitimate reasons to use Uber, especially if you could afford it. I mean, I don't own a car right now, so I would have to use Uber, if not walk or bike or scooter. But even then, electric scooters are Uber owned, and also electric scooters are fucking expensive, bro. Hell expensive compared to an actual Uber ride. So. The commuter shuttles will drive between preset stops every 20 minutes, according to Sachin Kansal, Uber's chief product officer. So literally a bus. It is a bus route. He noted that there will be dozens of routes in each launch city, likely between Williamsburg and Midtown in New York. These routes, which are selected based on Uber's extensive data on popular travel patterns, might have one or two additional stops to pick up other passengers. To start, riders will only ever have to share the route with up to 2 other co-riders. So only 3 people? I'm so good. This is crazy. The other unfortunate part of this is that, again, it's based purely on profit, so they're only stopping in areas that will make them money. If this is... That's fine for now, but if we start to lean on something like this as a crutch for the shitty public transportation that we have right now, then that's going to be a problem, because there's going to be disparities in where Uber decides is the best stops and where in best stops based off of how much money they make, and where the best stops are based off of what people actually need. But for now, it's fine because Uber's it's not that, but I think we're gonna we'll see where it gets a little more fishy here later on. Riders can book a seat anywhere from 7 days to 10 minutes before a scheduled pickup, and the app will provide them with turn-by-turn directions to get them from their house to the corner where they'll be picked up. Uber is relying on the same underlying technology that it uses for Uber Share. It's shared rides offering where riders can get 15 to 30% off the cost of an Uber X ride by pooling with others. I see. I think this is what I was talking about. But I think the difference is now this new one is a fixed route where it's fixed. Whereas this is likely just like any other route. Hansel told TechCrunch that Uber completes millions of shared trips annually and has been seeing more traction lately as riders look for more ways to save, hence route share. Because of the size of our network, both the consumer side as well as the driver side, and our core matching and market-based technology, it allows us to do something like this and put multiple people in the same car while creating efficiency and predictability for their commute. You know what I actually want to see from Uber? I want ride futures. I want to be able to buy a ride now for a time that I know will be busy in the future. And I want to potentially be able to sell that for more as we get closer to it, almost like a prediction market. Local market fluctuations for Uber rides are insane. Like, sometimes it's crazy how much they spike in like seconds or minutes. And also the fact that a lot of times, at least my girlfriend and I do, I will check Lyft, she'll check Uber, or vice versa. We usually compare prices, and depending on how long it takes to get us and the price, we usually pick the cheaper one. If I could buy futures to guarantee pricing at some time on like a busy day, like a concert, or just like a holiday. I remember a few years ago during New Year's, I went to get an Uber home that was a few miles, and it was like $60 because of the demand. But like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, bro, that's like a stock market. Like, might as well just trade. Like, can we just trade on ride futures? I feel like as a driver too, like that's a benefit because then you could like predict the market and shit, bro. Like you could have like an inside, view on it. This might even benefit drivers. I'm exaggerating, and I don't know how exactly it worked, but I kind of just like the idea of like having futures for these alternative like markets, quote unquote. I think it'd be funny. Okay, Uber envisions a future where route share could qualify for pre-tax commuter benefits. That's insane. I don't know how they would negotiate that. However, as a spokesperson noted, the company would need to find a way to match those trips with Uber XL vehicles. Oh, they likely have to have Uber XL to do these the shuttle type of service because of maybe the amount of people that are in it. That's because only 6-seater vehicles would meet the eligibility requirements. I see, for commuter benefits. A potential progression of the route share would involve autonomous vehicles, particularly in chaotic cities like New York City, where no self-driving car companies have designed to test. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, but Uber's been saying that for a while, and their only experiment with it killed someone. So I think actually Uber is partnering with Waymo now. So yeah, I mean, but we got a while for the autonomous stuff. Uber partnerships with 18 AV companies, autonomous vehicle companies, during its first quarter earnings delivery last week. I see. Okay. The company reported it has grown to an annualized rate of 1.5 million mobility and delivery autonomous vehicle trips on the Uber network. So they are definitely still doing it, I guess, even though they're all the one they killed someone. One of Uber's most recent AV partners is with Volkswagen. Wasn't Volkswagen the one that like actually hit the person before? Or at least it was a Volkswagen car. The two plan to work together to add autonomous versions of VW's ID, Buzz AD electric vehicles to the Uber app, specifically for shared rides starting in Los Angeles in 2026. Interesting. You can see a natural extension of us being able to bring route share to autonomous vehicles as well, Kanzel said. Route share has a lot of advantages for autonomous vehicles. It's very well defined route, and so the pickups and drop-offs are predictable. That's very true though. You know, creating something repeatable for especially something autonomous to do, like that makes it much easier and safer to train. But like it's just like just create a bus. Like sell this to cities. Other ways freaking Uber users can save. Yeah, or they could talk about Uber Gold, which there's a lawsuit right now. The FTC is suing Uber over their Gold subscription, saying that they made it much harder to cancel and that there's just like they signed people up when they shouldn't have. Although some of the comments are like kind of crazy where it's like, okay, like I don't know if I believe this person. So anyways, though, like Uber's one, yeah, Uber One, that's what it's called, the Uber Gold. They've done some shady things with that. Each of Uber's Get Go's events has a theme. Last year was focused on ways to help people spend more time together. This year, with economic uncertainty looming due to President Trump's tariffs, mass layoffs across the tech world, and AI coming for all our jobs, theoretically, Uber is focusing on cost savings for riders. In the process, Uber hopes to create a predictable cash flow and stickiness that keeps riders engaged with Uber. As of late, what we've heard very loud and clear is that people feel uncertain, people feel overwhelmed, people are feeling the prices in many different ways of life, and there's this need and desire to get more affordable options, Gansel said. So everything we are announcing is squarely focused on how we make life more affordable for them. Interesting. Now I'm thinking about this like Uber route share and like how people who aren't going on predictable routes, I guess I see it as like only focusing on commuters, but I think if they strategically place them in like just areas that are popular, like going downtown and stuff, like that would in itself help. And like I would use that because like I'm not using it to like commute. I don't use Uber to commute. I use it to like, you know, like if I don't want to end up driving, I don't want to deal with parking, you know, and so like if I could just get it the cheapest, then I would much prefer that. So if it takes like me walking to a, you know, place around the corner or you know, somewhere that the route share would stop at that's more popular, to me that seems like in the price would be much cheaper. I think that's fair. I would probably use that. One of Uber's new features is ride passes, which riders can use to protect their price for a 1-hour window each day on their selected routes. This is kind of like the ride futures I was explaining. There are two ways this will work. Either riders can pay $2.99 to lock in a price on a specific... You have to pay to lock in the price, though? But this is what I'm talking about with ride futures. I just want to be able to buy in the future. There'd be so many other problems with that, but... Or they can pay upfront and buy a bundle of prepaid trips. That's kind of what I'm talking about. You can pay $5, $10, $15, or $20 rides for an even deeper discount. But it's just, is it rides? The price lock offer will be available for riders in Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Las Vegas, Miami, Nashville, Orlando, Phoenix, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. starting Wednesday, with the rest of the U.S. and Brazil to follow. Brazil specifically, that's interesting. In the fall, price lock and prepaid passes will be available for teen accounts too. The Uber Eats side of things, Uber is going to get deeper into its partnership with OpenTable and launching a feature called Dine Out, which lets customers in the US, Canada, Mexico, and UK, Ireland, and Australia book tables via OpenTable on the Uber app. That seems a little out of place, in my opinion. Actually, not really, because it's exactly what I just said. Like, if I'm going out and I don't want to drink, or if I'm going out and like maybe I want to drink, or like I don't want to deal with parking, if I can just like make the reservation in the Uber app and then get a ride, schedule a ride for when my reservation is, like, I do see that being valuable, actually. But I do think now it's a matter of competing, because like that goes against like Yelp, Google, like Toast, like all these other kind of like random ass like restaurant type of companies. OpenTable is one of them, but Resi, I think, is a reservation one, which I've used. When they reserve, either on the Uber app or on the OpenTable app, they'll get a discount on an Uber ride to the restaurant. Yeah, perfect. Additionally, OpenTable members will soon be able to use their points on Uber and Uber Eats, not unlike Uber's partnership with Delta Airlines. Interesting. How does Uber make money on this then? If they give you a discount on the ride, are they getting like some sort of boost from OpenTable for booking the reservation? These kind of deals could offer savings for riders, particularly during peak demand times when surging prices are in effect. That's what I'm talking about with like ride. I want Uber ride futures. Come on. But they're likely more beneficial for people who frequently use Uber service. Prepaid packages often feel cheaper due to the upfront discounts, but riders could also overestimate how much they'll use them. But also, like, again, that goes into the actual local market fluctuations, because you never actually know how much your ride's gonna cost. And it could go up or down by the minute or second, you know? Uber's pricing strategy is also not transparent, and some reports have suggested that riders with prepaid credits or gift cards get higher fare quotes compared to those paying per ride. I believe that, because like who's to say? Like, we don't know what the actual price is going to be when you reserve it in the future. Anecdotally, whenever I switch my payment method from personal card to my business card, the price of the ride jumps a few dollars. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. Literally, the price just fluctuates so quick. Anywhere from until TechCrunch, the price lock feature is based on historical prices of that trip. And the prepaid pass protects against price spikes and adds additional discounts that are also based on historical prices. All right, I mean, yeah, sure, but this is interesting. I'm actually curious about how this will play out for Uber. Specifically the shuttle, because if the shuttle does start improving, or the route share, they're literally just gonna reinvent fucking bus routes. They're just reinventing public transportation. So whatever. Whatevs. All right, I actually have 2 robotics videos, and then we'll end on. Actually, let's talk about this Airbnb, because we're going from Uber to Airbnb. They're cohorts, they're startup cohorts, you know, if you would say. But Airbnb recently also updated their app to include services and experiences, separate tabs now. So like you could book an experience alone, you could book a service, you know, by itself. You don't have to have a actual like bed and, you know, home booking. It's like, I don't even know, like, it's not a hotel. I was gonna say bed and breakfast, Airbnb, but I was like, I don't even know what to call them. And there's been some criticism I've seen on like Twitter and X, mainly that like they're claiming it's like revolutionary, when it's just like they might be stepping outside of their bound, like where their customers are, you know, outside into a different market a bit. That is like kind of just stay in your lane. I see nothing wrong with trying to expand into different markets, especially considering Airbnb is just a marketplace. That's all they are. So it's like you might as well expand to include other markets that are closely related to your core market, that being like bed and breakfasts, you know, or just like, you know, renting houses out. So I don't know. I don't really see much of a problem with this. Let's actually look at their stock real quick before we do this, because Airbnb is public. We want to look at the last 5 days. So they're actually up. They're up 8%, which is pretty good. All right, let's watch
Airbnb
this.
launching a complete redesign of its app and, frankly, the entirety of what the company
Yeah, and they did redesign it. I think redesign just whatever.
is going to be. Take a look at shares of Airbnb off marginally this morning, but they have moved up. Here's what's happening. During a keynote address in LA yesterday, CEO Brian Chesky unveiled a completely new service, many new services, frankly, and experiences inside the app. It's an effort for Airbnb to become a place for people not just to book places to go and rent, but for people to book local tours, chefs, prepared meals, services, spas, anything that they're doing when they're on a vacation or, frankly, in their hometown. I spoke with Chesky and asked him about why he decided to make the changes.
We wanted to bring back experiences in a completely reimagined way.
Also, I do like Airbnb experiences. I've used them. I think I don't know. They are just a middleman. You know, they're a marketplace. Like, that's all they are. So, like, it's kind of hard to fuck up, in my opinion. But, like, it's fine. Like, it's good. You know, I've used it. And it's like, I'd use it again.
The most interesting people in the world. But then we thought, what if we took the Airbnb model? And what if you can Airbnb the whole world? All these different services.
That's such a tech bro. Like, what if we could, like, Airbnb the whole world? Like,
services. What if we could do with services what Amazon did for retail? You know, everyone called Amazon the everything store. And I'm like, well, Amazon's the everything in a cardboard box store, but it's not services. And so what if you could Airbnb a chef, a masseuse, and...
Okay, like, and this is the problem, I feel like, with the Silicon Valley tech bro type, is like, he's like this, like, he's talking like this is revolutionary. It's like, dude, you're a middleman. Like, you're a marketplace. You know? You're doing nothing. All you're doing is creating writing some code so that someone could go then and, put their own service on there. Like, no, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I don't know. It's not, like, that revolutionary, in my opinion.
Little did I know how much work it would be. I thought, oh, we could just take our model and extend it. It turned out we had to rebuild our technology stack. We had to, like, rewrite our app. I mean, we had to rethink marketing.
See, like, this is sometimes why it's, like, this is why he's getting shit, you know? What they're doing has existed forever. As long as the, modern internet has existed, there's been a marketplace like this. Bro, think of Groupon. Airbnb, how's what they're doing any different than fucking Groupon? It's exactly the same. You think Groupon's, like, coming on CNBC and be like, we had to rewrite, the technology behind our, like, marketplace is crazy. Like, what? I feel like, bro, you fucking... I could go there to get a cheap place to get a fucking, like, haircut or beard trim. Like, no... And, like, Airbnb is just kind of, like, the reinterpretation of that, their service part. Let's be real.
We had to build entire departments to do this. So it was a bit of an all-company hands on deck for a year, 2 years to get to this day. And as we were saying, today is just the beginning of a new chapter.
When you think about effectively being a Airbnb for everything, how expansive is everything?
Also, I could hear the fucking echo from him right now.
In your mind?
I think I heard some.
When you think about effectively being a Airbnb for everything, how expansive is everything in your mind?
I think I heard some stat like almost 2 out of 3 jobs in America are service jobs. We're starting with 10 categories of services. I think there are dozens or hundreds of categories of services that we could offer. And again, I think maybe this is the single most important point that I want to get across. People think of Airbnb as a travel company and a travel brand. We're one of the biggest travel brands in the world. But I think starting today, we're not limited to travel because you can book services in your own city. And obviously, we announced today, but between, like, there's 100 places you could go with services. And then we'll see how big experiences become.
Okay.
As well. But it literally can be almost anything.
Do you have any fear? Is there any worry in your mind at all that you have owned this world of travel and been so successful in this space that you could dilute that sort of franchise by expanding? I'm sure there were debates inside the company about what that looks like and what that feels like.
I mean, it's a great question, Andrew, and we had that debate. And the end of the day, there was this question, well, what is Airbnb about? Are we a travel company? Is that what we're about? I mean, United's a travel company.
Come on. It's just hard to take him seriously sometimes, you know? It's like, what are we about?
Hilton's a travel company. Hyatt's a travel company. And we ultimately realized that we're not really a travel company per se. We're really much more like a community where you can travel and live. And it's much more about like being on the beaten path, doing things between one person and the other.
Chesky saying that this was an all-hands-on-deck operation to rebuild the app and introduce these new services. Airbnb has a policy for employees, though, on a separate topic here, to live and work from anywhere. We've talked about whether you need to work at the office or not, but it does not require employees to work at its San Francisco headquarters, except for 1 week per month. I asked Chesky about this policy and how he thinks about the remote work debate, given that most of the rest of the world seems to have gone back to the office.
Work 1 week per month in office? That is not remote, because you still have to then live around unless they're flying people out.
We're not like totally remote, no one ever come to the office. We've tried to find this in-between solution, but it's not a hybrid. What I ask is that key people come to the office a week a month. And so I said, you can live in San Francisco or you can live anywhere around the world. If you don't want to live in San Francisco, you got to be willing to travel a week a month. And we found that's the right amount of time, week a month. And so I said, you can live in San Francisco or you can live anywhere around the world. If you don't want to live in San Francisco, you got to be willing to travel a week a month. And we found that's the right amount of time. You don't need to be in the office with each other every single week because people need heads down time. And then we have this concerted effort where people come together.
I would be okay with that, like 5 days, 7 days a month instead of like twice a week for 4 weeks. Like, let's get it all up front.
Or 1 week a month. But I wanted to call this other thing. When people say return to the office, you know what they really mean? They mean return to an office. So most people don't all work in one office. So I know, I just won't mention the tech company. And he works in, but this tech executive, and he works in, the Bay Area. And he's got, his company's got a remote, a return to work policy, except none of the people live in that city. So they're not going to his office. They're going to an office. You see what I'm saying? So they might live in New York and they go to the New York office. So it's like you're not even physically together because maybe your coworkers don't even work in the same office as you.
Yes, bro. And I could relate to this so much because it's exactly what happened to me. Fucking a company had a return to office, but then my boss, who I worked with the most, lived in the Bay Area and he went to a different office. So I was like, we're still sitting in the same Zoom calls. I'm still answering the same emails. The fucking boomers across the way are still echoing, when we're sitting in the same Zoom call. Are now echoing, like.
So you're really just saying, I want you to be in an office, not the office. When we ask people to come to in a week, a month in an office, it's San Francisco. So we're all gathered in the same space. What I found is you don't need people to work in an office to make sure they're working hard. The best way to make sure people working hard is to do what we did. Have a giant launch, a big deadline, program manage, track progress, meet with teams every week. And that's the best way to make sure they're working really hard.
Yeah, just like, what was that like afterwards though, that like phase?
Deadline, program manage, track progress, meet with teams every week. And that's the best way to make sure they're working really hard.
Now, as you mentioned, that part of Airbnb's app redesign includes profiles for users and hosts and enables users to communicate with people they've met at experiences or through services. It's a bit like a social media company.
That is way too much, though. That is now overstepping.
Chesky, what this feature looks like on a long-term basis and how he thinks investors should start to think about Airbnb in comparison to travel sites and hotel companies, or maybe something else entirely.
I do not think Airbnb is an online travel agency or an OTA. I think we can compare it a lot with them, and I hope today people realize we're trying to create our own course, our own category. You know, it's funny, you used the word social media. When I came to Silicon Valley, it was called social networking. It's actually funny. Social networking around 10, 12 years ago became social media because your friends became your followers. And suddenly it ceased to be about connection. It started being about performing. And I think there was a void left over from the kind of old social networking days. And in particular, we're not trying to create a social network online, but I like the idea that we're trying to essentially create almost like a social network in the real world, you know, a way you can connect with other people in the real world.
Bro, that's literally social networking. How's that? Like, I guess, like, bro, you can see he's like smirking, like, okay.
And I want to be one of the tech founders that is trying to get people off of tech devices into the real world. And if we need to use a device as a gateway, an application as a gateway to do that, then that's so be it. But I think, you know, when we're at the end of our life, we're not going to be remembering the apps we use. We're not going to be remembering the novel tools we're using. We're going to remember the people and the experiences we had and we shared together. And we want to be a small part of that.
It's fair. Overall, that wasn't like that bad, but it's more so the Silicon Valley, like, over exaggerating. Making claims that are just like kind of outrageous that just like make it hard to take you seriously. That's kind of it. That was funny. That was good. That was a good video though. Airbnb ruined my neighborhood. Would love if this failed. That's fair. That's fair. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, let's watch these two robotics videos and probably end on that.
Sheet metal.
I don't really know anything about these guys. I'm also going to start subscribing to all these guys because I want to keep up with them.
Is the heart of America.
So this says, sorry, you can't see. Sava Robotics, which is a Y Combinator. They're out of YC. Robot operators for sheet metal. Watch this.
From cars and kitchens to data centers and spaceships, sheet metal is the unsung hero in our daily lives. Yet today, for every 4 sheet metal workers that retire, only 1 new worker enters the field.
Wow. I don't watch this again. So this is the actual, the thing looks crazy. Oh, this looks like the fucking Mystery Science Theater. Bro, no, this thing looks like the fucking thing from Teletubbies. New. Yeah, bro, this is the vibe I'm getting, bro. Fucking. That was like horrible. I see what this is. Because, so I guess with sheet metal, when you, like, generally, like, you have to bend it, and you do it by, like, you know, kind of putting pressure on it. So, like this here. So this must be someone who sits in a robot that sits in front of the machine and is able to kind of grab and like manipulate the sheet metal within the confines of like, or the context of this sheet metal bending machine. Let's look at their website. I really love this, like how it looks, like the design. We envision a world where American manufacturing is fully automated, where humans are liberated from the tedious labor to focus on creativity, humanity, and exploration. Simply provide the CAD and quantity and the robot does the rest. Oh, so simply provide the CAD. So it looks like it's like a UI. Interesting. All right. Not much on their website yet, but this looks cool. I subscribe to their YouTube. I'll bookmark this. Go under startups and we'll add robotics. And then we'll actually add manufacturing. TechCrunch. Interesting. No one I follow. All right, let's watch this one. This is from NVIDIA. Oh, you could actually see it now. It's full screen. I forgot. CIV, robotics, industrial AI for construction site efficiency. Civ Robotics, automating precise construction site layouts with robotics. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. You know, I think there a lot of construction, you know, is like the surveying and such, and to be able to build things, you need precise measurements and you know, things laid out to like where things go, and you also need to go beforehand to take certain pictures and measurements of the land and like, you know, all the kind of like shit. Like, so I mean, I imagine that this is something to do with that. This could be useful.
Civ Robotics is all about automating the repetitive tasks in the infrastructure construction industry. And we use robotics and AI to automate surveying and layout and boost efficiency. The construction industry relies on precise site layout, but traditional methods are workforce intensive and prone to many errors. This is where Civ Robotics was built for. Site layout, but traditional methods are workforce intensive and prone to many errors. This is where
I think the accuracy is probably the best argument or the best selling point for this, because I do think it's an easy first order effect of like saving money and such and things. I think that's just like an easy way to sell it.
Civ Robotics was built for. Our robots CivDot and CivDot Plus are marking thousands of points a day, 10 times faster and more accurate than traditional methods. We were inspired by autonomous technology and we created a robotic solution that makes site layout faster and safer. NVIDIA powers our 3 phases of development. We use NVIDIA for training our
I want to see that. Okay, so they have the simulation, NVIDIA Isaac Sim. This is like a real-world sim, likely. Training, 5070 and an A6000. In deployment, Jetson Orin.
For training our models in GPUs in the cloud and in our R&D site, we use NVIDIA Simulation Isaac Sim to simulate anything from the robots themselves, from sensor placement to the algorithm development. And the deploy.
Oh, they have different ones too. It's cool. So these are different. Looks like different models. Laser pointer, ground clearance, the tires. I love. 8-hour battery life. Wow. So this is a different one though. This one's interesting. Spray cans.
At the deployment, we have a range of robots using NVIDIA Jetson on top of it. When we are choosing a tool or platform, it's important for us to see there is a community behind it.
NVIDIA Jetson, I'm pretty sure, is their like robot brain compute platform.
Yeah. And the inception is really encouraging that. We see how NVIDIA invests in robotics, and it gives us the confidence to invest in NVIDIA technology to power our robots and our development.
Cool. Also, I guess Civ robots, because it's like civil engineering. Marking the future one coordinate at a time. Rent to buy. That's interesting pricing. I like that though. It's more accessible. Civ dot plus. It's probably, you know, more accurate. Then we got the mini. This thing looks like a janitor, some like janitor cart. And it's Civ move. Ooh. Wow. Layout piles in the field, pallet staging, lift and drop pallets, panel installation. Interesting. This is actually interesting because let's think about like on the construction site. Likely a lot of trucks come to drop materials off, and there's a lot of logistics in where to put them, how to order them, based off of like where to, you know, what order they're going to be used in and how they're going to be accessible by, you know, the builders. So I imagine that like just automating the fact of like even unloading all the material and things and moving things around. Follow the installation crew. Like you could put this big thing on this thing and then have this little robot follow the installation crew with all the material. Like this is interesting. Cool. All right, let's add this one to the startups and companies. It's gonna be robotics, and this is gonna be civil engineering. Cool. All right, that's gonna do it for today's stream. I appreciate everyone hanging out and tuning in. Got a wide variety today. We'll be back Monday for more news. Likely a long form video coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But if not, look out for some short form videos and follow me on my other socials, links down below. And subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to pump YouTube subscribers. But I appreciate everyone hanging out, showing up. Hopefully you learned something today or entertained. And we'll see you Monday. Be back Monday. More news. Something new, exciting. All right, see you guys.